Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bleav in San Diego baseball or Toronto baseball, depending on who you're rooting for. My name is Alex Miniak. I am the voice of Petco Park and one-time voice for a Toronto minor league affiliate as well. Alongside me, Heath Bell, who played for the Padres, did not play for Toronto, but a three-time All-Star. Heath, I know that you were rooting for Seattle. It would have been a great story. To me, I really, I had a vested interest only because of employment reasons in my history, but either team that would have come out of there would have been fine with me. Really. I mean, it's a great story either way.
Well, you know what? Seattle's never been to the World Series. I mean, the Padres have been there twice, lost. I mean, there's some teams that have been there and lost. Seattle's never gotten there. So that's another reason I was rooting for them. But I think they're going to be back, year in and year out. They have good young core. Toronto, I actually thought had the best chance to beat the Dodgers, if they get to the World Series. So it's going to be a fun series. I really think you can't. The favorite's probably the Dodgers because they've been there, but Toronto, they got some firepower. They got pitching that nobody really knows. And they got an offense that is just stellar.
Yeah. I think, I have some reasons why I believe Toronto will win this thing, and I honestly believe it. We'll get to that later on in this podcast. Okay. We'll also talk about a managerial hire, not the Padres yet, but another one inside the NL West. But first, I want to go back in time a little bit because the last time we were on this podcast, there was a Game 7 happening, and we really couldn't predict the future. But we can go back in the past to talk about ALCS Game 7, Seattle at Toronto. Looking back here, Seattle's Julio Rodriguez, he led off the game with a double, and you know what? We're thinking, here we go again. Road team in control. Josh Naylor knocks him in. It's 1-0 Seattle in the first. Toronto ties it up in the bottom half. Dalton Varsho, single, RBI. It's 1-1. Seattle then, top of the third, Julio Rodriguez goes yard, 2-1 Seattle. Then top of the fifth, Cal Raleigh goes boom, 3-1 Seattle. And then it comes down to the bottom of the seventh inning. None other than George Springer doing George Springer things in the playoffs. 3-run home run. That ends up being the game winner, sending Toronto to the World Series the first time since 1993. I really don't know what's in George Springer's DNA that helps him do this. Is there I like to believe there's a clutch gene. Is there such a thing? Why do some guys do it and others don't?
I think it's one of those things. It's a clutch gene, and back in the day, they would call it a big game pitcher, a big game player, There's no number, there's no equation how this guy's going to perform under the big lights. But you just kind of knew, back in the 90s, 2000s, David Justice would get traded, and that was the guy that was going to be in the playoffs, and he was going to do well. So it's just, there's just something embedded in some guys that the big stage comes, they show up.
Yeah. I mean, Springer's, I love to see it. That's how legends are born. That's how stories are created.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see. And time and again in the postseason, George has delivered. So we again will have some predictions coming up, and we're going to talk about some food items that we like to eat during baseball games too. Because behind you, Heath, I see a glorious vintage popcorn machine. I'm going to fire that baby up and pass over a bucket or two.
Popcorn.
Yeah.
The whole house smells good and nice buttery popcorn that's probably not good for you, but it tastes great. Movie style popcorn.
Popcorn is good. It's just what you put on it that's bad.
Yeah, the butter.
Yeah, the movie theater butter, in quotes. Well, there was a managerial hire in the division this week. Tony Vitello, head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, you look at Tony's record, 23 seasons coaching college ball, 6 NCAA regional appearances, 3 College World Series, winning 1, 2024 national champs with the Volunteers. His Volunteers have produced 42 total draft picks, 10 of which were first-rounders. Since 2021, that is the most in the nation. Now, there's only one big asterisk here. he's never coached anywhere professionally. And I hear popcorn going. There we go. I start to see it fall now. He's the first to do this, which I kind of find hard to believe. Um, I mean, does it matter? I mean, why should it matter? His record sort of speaks for itself, right?
No, I don't think it really should matter. The only difference is he was coaching young men and boys that are turning into men, and professionally, guys are making, 10 million, 20 million. So sometimes you kind of like, dude, I'm not going to run out of a ball to first base. I'm not going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Where in college, you got to go out there and you got to hustle. Otherwise, you're not going to play. But I think for the Giants organization, it's going to be good. He's going to have kind of a hard nosed attitude, as in, let's hustle, let's play the game, let's play every out, and let's try to win every single game. Where I think some professional athletes are just like, it's a marathon season, and it's kind of like, hey, we don't have to win every game, just win 20 a month or something like that. So, I think it's going to be good for the Giants.
I think so too. I mean, it seems unprecedented. The thing that I thought of, or at least a comparison I thought of that was the closest, would have been Pat Murphy, right? Pat Murphy,
Oh, yeah.
Milwaukee's manager now. He coached college ball for 25 years, Arizona State. Before joining the Padres in the minor league system, made his way over to the Brewers. He was on the bench for 8 years, finally gets the managerial opportunity. He gets National League Manager of the Year last year. So it can happen. It took Pat a long time to do it. This is a straight jump, but that's the closest comparison we really have. And even in the time that Pat's been at the professional level, college ball has changed a lot. It is a lot closer to the upper minors now. You have kids that are opting for college because you have NIL, you have the opportunity to play, get showcased, the facilities are getting better. All of this has happened within the last decade, and I think college is becoming a lot like the upper minors in a lot of ways, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember college. I mean, we change in the parking lot and in our cars because we didn't really have a locker room, and now it seems like they're all double A, triple A stadiums. They have really nice locker rooms. They've got gyms. I know some college guys now that play in college and then go to minor leagues, and are like, man, I had better facilities in college than the minors. So
For sure.
it's definitely changed, and I think it's not going to be every coach. You got to have a different attitude. You got to be a winning attitude. But I think probably the next 10 years, especially if a couple college coaches start winning, that you're going to see more come over and go straight to the major leagues. Because here's the other thing, coaching in the minor leagues, you could talk a good game, but you're not playing in the big leagues. You're not coaching in the big leagues. It's a little bit different. So, but then again, if you've played in the big leagues, you kind of understand the game, you understand the travel and the longevity and all that stuff. So, you just have to have a good mind for baseball. And I think he
Yeah.
has.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at someone like John Schneider, who is the manager for the Blue Jays. He worked at every level in that organization, just like Mike Schilt. Mike Schilt did with the Cardinals, right? He grew with the team that he currently has now in Toronto. I mean, he was Vladdy's manager at Double A, where I used to work. They were together. They came up through the system together. When you look at San Francisco's system, they have multiple Tennessee draft picks in that system. And when they dealt away one of the Rogers, Taylor or Tyler, I can't remember which one, they got Tennessee draft picks back. So he's going to be familiar with that staff as if he coached them
Well,
in the minors.
here's the biggest thing is, as a player and as a coach, you need to have trust. And I think as a player, if you have the trust of your coach is doing the right thing for the team and the right thing for you, you'll decide to change a position or take a day off. But when you are second guessing the coach all the time and you don't believe the coach, or, he says one thing and does another, then that trust factor is not there. And, you don't perform well, you don't play well for him, and you don't like respect him. So you got to have that trust factor, and the guys will go to the end of their world for you.
Yeah, I think like you said, you touched on it. He's got that grinding attitude. It rubs some people the wrong way. That will be interesting to watch at a major league level. But if he's able to motivate these guys to win, I think this model will be replicated. In fact, I'm pretty confident of it.
The thing is, I think there might be one or two guys. I'm just guessing because, a 26-man roster, one or two guys that are not going to probably like the way he does things. But I think as an organization,
Devers.
I think that as long as he's true to his word and doesn't, play favorites, I think everybody will respect him. And then the Giants will be an organization that wants to work hard and, try to win a World Series again. So I think it's going to be a good thing. It's just going to be interesting to see how, Devers and maybe one other guy is actually going to perform. College coach is kind of like, hey, what I say goes. There's no question. Where in the big leagues, sometimes you have the big guys, question the manager, and then the manager has to stick in and go, I don't care if you're making 40 million or 20 million or whatever it is. No, you don't run out of ball, you sit. But you got to also have an organization and ownership that is, saying you're our guy. You got to listen to him.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity for the Giants to zig when sort of everybody else is zagging. Buster Posey went to college. He played at Florida State. He was great there, got drafted, went to the Giants. Giants lifer, obviously, Hall of Famer. I think he really values the college experience, and he knows firsthand how good it can be. And, of course, it's only improved since that time by leaps and bounds. So I think it's an opportunity to try something a little bit different and something that he's familiar with. When you look at the Padres, who are talking about bringing in ex-major leaguers, perhaps, to manage the team, they're like, okay, we're going to go another route. Do you think that's a possibility too? Like, look, we're gonna try something completely different and see if we can catch up in this division.
I think San Francisco's doing the best thing that they're, the direction they're going. And, honestly, probably Rafi Devers might be the only guy that everybody's kind of like, is he actually going to like this or not? But then again, the organization just might say, Rafi, if you just want to sit, go ahead and sit. Eventually he's going to want to play. But yeah, every team has some like that. Not every team has like the Yankees back in the day where Derek Jeter said, dude, Joe Torre is our leader. I don't care. And when your leader's listening to the manager, then you got to listen to him because,
Yep.
The leader of your team is going to get on your butt.
Yep.
So, but
like good leaders should.
Yeah. So it's just, the manager is doing the best thing he thinks for the team and the organization. And the players just has to realize that. And sometimes we get selfish and we're, worried about, us. And at the end of the day, if we just worry about the team and try to do our part to help the team win, your numbers will be there. You'll get the big contracts. You'll do what you want, and you'll have a great time doing it.
And Devers still has trade value, so what are we really talking about here anyway?
Yeah.
There is that. All right, coming up, World Series, Dodgers, womp womp. Toronto, yay. We will discuss our picks coming up, and we got a popcorn machine behind Heath to tackle as well. We're going to find out. I know there's more hiding back there, not just popcorn. There are other delights and delicacies that are ready to be eaten and devoured on this show. So he's already diving in, folks. By the way, if you have not discovered us yet on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, we are there. We live there. Make sure you click that follow button. It's Bleav in San Diego Baseball. And don't forget to catch all our bonus content on our website. It's BLEAVINSD.com. And we'll be back in just a couple minutes on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. Welcome back to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. Alex Miniak, Heath Bell right here, and a popcorn machine is our third guest today on the program. Heath, that's a beauty behind you. That thing looks vintage. Is it vintage? Is it built to look vintage? I mean, you got the pop.
It's built to look vintage.
It looks good to me. And what you got the popcorn going. You're eating directly from the machine. I don't know if that's what you do at the movie theater. I was at the movie theater. I would have just gone and grabbed a handful myself this week. But what are your toppings? What kind of man are you in this popcorn topping department?
Just salt and butter, just classic.
Yeah?
It's like movie butter. That's probably not healthy for you. It's probably cardboard, but it tastes really good. And yeah,
Straight oil homie.
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, that's all it is. So it's butter and oil and popcorn. I got some buckets up there, and I got a bunch of I got Star Wars ones, I got Padre ones, I got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and that's not the only smorgasbord item you got going on
No, I
today.
got chicken wings that the wife made. I got chips,
Yeah.
sweet potato chips that are, I like to say, that are healthy. I don't like the sweet potatoes at all, and
Okay.
I love these chips, and these chips are really good. My kids like them, and my kids don't want to eat anything healthy, so
All right.
as normal kids. So
Fair enough. Yeah, true. Put ketchup on everything; they'll be fine.
yeah.
The wings. You're a wing man. Your wife made a wing. What kind of wing we got? Do we do anything special there? Are you dry rub guy, or are you a wet sauce guy?
I like just plain wings, naked.
Naked. All right.
Yeah, I like being naked and eating my naked wings.
All right. Well, next time you got that going on, invite me over. We'll have to see what. Hey, we'll have to see what happens there. Our World Series picks, by the way. I am obviously I'm wearing the hat here, my Blue Jay cap, so I'm a little biased. I am going to go with Toronto, but it has a giant caveat associated with it. We're going to need Mad Max in Mad Max form. We're going to need Shane Bieber to do his thing. We're going to need the lefties in the pen to throw their best games ever. We're going to need to crack the code on Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Snell, or be able to hold them in check for 7 innings. And then we're going to need Springer, Vladdy, Kirk to jump on those fastballs and drive them out of the park. And then Toronto will win in 7. So there's my prediction. If those things come to fruition, it will happen. I will manifest it.
Well, my prediction, unfortunately, I think the Dodgers have the edge, but I'm thinking the Dodgers are going to win in 7. But here's the other kicker is I think they have a great offense. I mean, I know the Dodgers have a good offense, but I think it's going to come down to pitching. And I think the Dodgers have a little bit better pitching than Toronto, but Toronto, you think they're out. I mean, and they're not. I mean, they can play in the hostile environment in Seattle. I think they can play in hostile environment, New York, and they can definitely do it in LA. So I have a feeling that it's going to go to Game 7, and it's just by the hair of my chinny chin chin that I think the Dodgers have it. But Toronto, I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto beats LA. I really would.
And they might have a book on Ohtani. Remember, they were very interested in signing him before he committed to LA. So they have a pretty good idea of what Ohtani could bring to the table. Maybe maybe that was a little advanced scouting,
Yeah,
maybe that'll help there. But you know what? He was in a postseason slump before that breakout game in Game 4 against Milwaukee. Maybe he can return to form. Maybe Roger Center can keep him in check. But really, yeah, a lot of things are going to have to happen. I love the power that Toronto has. They're able to get on base. They're able to knock in runs, and they're able to drive the ball deep when needed to, as Springer did the other night. So, I think there's a fair shot there, and I think it's a fair shot that a lot of folks aren't giving them. And I like the fact that you and I are both going to Game 7 on this, and we think this is going to be one for the ages.
Yeah, I just think Toronto they were down 2-0 and going into Seattle, and you're thinking, okay, now Seattle has their main starters. And they were like, yeah, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like even if LA comes out and just tears it up the first game, they're going to be like, yeah, who cares? So I think Toronto has the mindset of winning, even if they're behind, and like, don't worry about it, the game's not over. We can come back. And you could see that in Game 7 against Seattle. So I just think if the Dodgers are not on their A game, dude, Toronto's going to whip up on them. So, both teams have to be on their A game. But like I said, I think Toronto and the Dodgers will probably be the best World Series we've had in, the last century. Just, where it's going to go back and forth. It's going to go to Game 7. You just don't know who's going to win.
Well, I'm with you on that. I'm hoping for it. I like that prediction. Best in a while, best in a
And
century.
then here's the other part. I could be wrong on this, but I think every time Toronto has gone to the World Series, they've won. So that might be a little kick. But then, the Dodgers, they could be, repeating. They've been there a lot. So, I mean, I feel like there's really no edge. Maybe the only edge is maybe Ohtani because he's a pitcher and hitter. But
Yeah.
you just don't know.
Well, pass me a bucket of your delicious popcorn there. Slide me a couple wings, and we will talk about games 1 and 2. Thank you, sir. Games 1 and 2 on our episode next week, our first episode next week. And hopefully it's Toronto up 2-0 coming out of Toronto and headed to LA. So we'll catch you next time. By the way, for the 3-time All-Star Heath Bell, my name is Alex Miniak, and we will catch you next time on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. Go Blue Jays!
See you, San Diego.